Hey yo, what is up? Welcome back to another video of the BARRA and the JZX build. So today I got my mate bringing over the gearbox jack I lent him. So James will be coming around, Jim Bob, and then I'm gonna put the clutch and everything on the motor and just mock it up for now so we can get the motor in there, and then try and fit the gearbox up in the car while the motor's already in there, just to see if I can do that without, like, if I need to do a gearbox or clutch change or something later on, I can see if I can get it out and in with the motor in the car instead of pulling the motor and gearbox all out at once. So I'll get to start putting the clutch on, I suppose. Wait for James. Ready to go. So I got the clutch and the flywheel down here. I throw it on. This is just the flywheel and clutch setup that come with the car. Was working in the car and everything. So I'm just gonna put it back in. But this is just a test fit as well. So I'm just gonna rattle bolts up, like not really worry about torques or anything, and like properly setting it up. I'm just putting it in there so we can try and fit this gearbox in there. And then later on I'm going to pull the motor and everything back out, and then I'll do the rear main seal, new pilot bearing, possibly a new clutch. I had an MPC in my old S13 and I really want an MPC, but this clutch works and it held 410 horsepower or whatever before, which I'm kind of only going for the same sort of numbers. So I don't really want to spend $1,500 on a clutch if I don't have to, or $1,700 really for an MPC one, the one I want. But if I can justify it, I will, but I'll just throw this one back in if I don't. I've got the clutch and that on there now. I'm going to try throw the motor in. Well, I'm going to throw the motor in again, and then we'll try the gearbox after that. Okay, so it's in there this time, but fuck me, that was a lot harder than before, man. That was just, with the clutch on and everything, it only just fit in between there. And then that stupid friggin' water temp sensor at the back of the motor. That's the worst thing they ever did with this motor, I reckon. Put that there, but yeah, it's down and in there, and now I can try and see if I can mock up the gearbox or not. Should go back like that a bit, and that looks like got a fair bit of clearance down in there, so well, hopefully she will be right. I'll just have to put a strap from like the turbo or something to like the steering arm or something, just to hold the motor so it's like facing backwards, because with the full front sump set up, it wants to like tip forward if you got no gearbox on there and that. So we'll see how we go. But all right, Jim Bob should be rolling up any minute now. I've just spent a little bit longer in this tunnel out a little bit more. I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking, yeah, you might need a little bit more room here, might need a bit more room there, so just gave it a little bit more clearance. Here's that sensor I'm talking about. You see it up there. It's the most stupidest thing ever. You still even might need to beat that a little bit more so that can work. But yeah, I'll put it on a time lapse when Jim Bob gets here, and we'll try to throw this box in. All right, so James just left. He had to go, but we did get the motor and the gearbox up in there. You seen I probably stuffed around the bell housing. We had to belt a little bit more, and yeah, I took the bell housing off of the gearbox and then put that on the motor while I was up and in there, which fit up and in there without having it on the gearbox. And then we slid the gearbox in and bolted it up from there, and I'll show you now what it looks like. But yeah, so it's up in here. Don't have all the bell housing bolts in and everything, just like I said, I'm test fitting it. I will need to still cut this part of the tunnel and belt this section a little bit more for that, but other than that, it's up here. The motor's at about 3 degrees, and the tail shaft's lining up pretty good with the diff as well. Doesn't hit anything around the firewall. Starter motor's all clear. Up in there. Up here's clear. Heaps of room. Nice. That's what we wanted. But that's going to be it for today. So I'll see you tomorrow, I suppose. Okay, welcome to the next day. I'm back. We're ready to keep going with this gearbox mount. And I've been digging in my shed, my steel pile in my shed, which is just like household like steel sort of stuff, and some brackets that I bought to do other stuff on my house. And turns out it's probably going to work pretty good for my gearbox mount. So I'll show you what I'm willing to do. I borrowed my brother's welder as well, so cheers Rick for that. So these are just some brackets I had in the shed, already got holes in them. Turns out that's perfect for those bolts there, the bolt holes in the car, and then I'll just have to like make something to come back off this way. But I do have another bracket here which has 2 holes in the bottom already, and it turns out my gearbox mount will actually bolt straight into them 2 holes, and I'll just have to drill the other 2 holes out, and I can just cut these and bend them out straight because I don't have like a good vise or anything. I'll just like do a half slit in it and then bend them so they come back out straight or to whatever I sort of need up in the car, and then we will go from there. I suppose I can bolt that part on the gearbox and then see how far I need to cut them other brackets, weld them to it, and then I can put some other little strengthening bits on there, and yeah, get it welded up and strengthened up and have the gearbox sitting in there for good. Alright, so I took the gearbox back out after I marked like where the gearbox was going to sit. I'm just going to cut that out now, just with this, and then I'll be able to put the gearbox back in and check if that clears now, and then I can get the gearbox and everything at the right height and start doing this mount. Gearbox back in now. She fits straight up in there where I just cut. Goes right up. I can get my angle right now for the tail shaft. This has got enough clearance. Probably won't sit that high anyway. It'll sit back down a little bit, but at least I know it can go up, and everything should be alright now. Alright, so I set my angle of the gearbox and the motor up at about 2.1 degrees at the moment, which should give me the right like amount of degrees for the tail shaft and everything, because this diff's in a good place as well. So that should all line up, and for the pinion angle and everything. But and I also did it like 2.1 as well, just because once I build this mount, the weight of the gearbox and that will come on here, and it'll probably just drop down a slightest bit. So around, I usually want to get around 3 degrees, but I'm thinking like 2.5 will be good pinion angle, and it'll keep everything pinion angle, sorry, and it'll keep everything up a little bit higher. Because as you can see at the moment, the gearbox is like just above this rail here, so don't really want to get it any lower. So I just realized there's a third bolt up here as well, and this bracket, it just bolts straight in with the holes that were already in it. So man, I'm loving that, and I'm just going to bolt it up, and then I'll just have to put a bracket across from there and then brace it all up and should be right. So I drilled out the holes for this, bolted that on, these are bolted on. This is still just hanging on a little bit. This one actually just broke off when I just twisted it too much, but that'll go in there and that'll line up with there, and then I'll just tack weld it together so I can get full welds on it, and then I'll brace it like a full brace across the center here, and then down the sides like as well. I'll brace from there down to theirs, just so that's got a lot of strength in it as well. Okay, so I got the mount tacked up, just gonna start welding it. I'll put it on time lapse. I'm no welder, so don't harass my welds, please. She's all welded up just for this part. I'll try to fit it back up there now just to make sure it fits back in, and then I'll look at some bracing for it. Let's see how far it moves down when you bring the jack down. Oh, that's good. Didn't move down much. Must be half decently strong now. Otherwise it would have broke already. So technically it's mounted in there. Here's my next brace, straight across the top. Piece of angle iron I had laying around, I just cut it up to brace it off the whole way across there, and then I'll do the other ones that go from there to end there, and then that should be like so strong, it's ridiculous. 2 hours later, whatever it is, man, this thing's done. It's not painted yet, but I'm just gonna try fit it up to the car once more, make sure it's all good, and then I'll just give it a spray job and throw it back in. Okay, so I'm back the next day, and this mount's all finished up now, painted up, ready to throw on the car. So I'll throw it on there, show you how it looks, and then that'll be it for this episode. That's it now. That's the mount. Mounted all up. Motor and the gearbox is in there by itself now. Now I can measure up my tail shaft and get the shop to make that. So that's it for this episode, and I will catch you in the next one. Like, comment and subscribe, and catch you later, Simon.